Chrissy here, your local no BS psychologist, coming to you live on a Tuesday night like I do every Tuesday, or most Tuesdays, because I wasn't around last Tuesday because I was busy working away in country Victoria with terrible mobile reception. So I thought I won't do it to you guys. I know I've had bad reception before when I've tried to do lives and it's so annoying. So I thought, no, I'll come back next week with some amazing, riveting content for everybody out there. I thought tonight's content was it's quite an important area to present on, and quite an experience, I suppose, that I've derived from some of my experiences online this week, or more so last week. As a business owner, you don't always attract sort of, positive social media attention. We had some interactions with an unfortunate community page that we've got that is running out there at the moment that I totally and ethically do not agree with or support. I won't name it here, but I suppose I had some opinions on some of the unfortunate things that people were putting on that page, and I thought in general, I know that this is a topic that a lot of people out there struggle with, which is, online or social media negativity, whether it be direct or indirect, we don't have to be affected by online content that is always being directed towards us. We can be a bystander. We can be somebody that's exposed to certain views or certain opinions online that are not overly directed at us, but we do feel affronted or challenged, by that negativity that might be going on. So I want to spend some time tonight talking about some strategies of how to deal with negativity or, being targeted or whatever you might be experiencing that is a negative, I suppose, experience from whatever it might be going online, why it occurs, what you can do about it, hopefully some strategies of how to deal with some of the challenges that we face in social media land. Because we never had these problems 10 years ago, guys, did we? Times are a-changing, and unfortunately, or fortunately and unfortunately, it provides platforms and outlets that we never used to have before. So we're exposed to all kinds of things online. So if you're watching Psych Chrissy tonight, give me a wave, give me a like, give me a share, tell me that you're here. Facebook are probably not going to show me your comments like every week. I struggle with them actually showing me. So I'm going to just bring up my live on the computer and hope that I can see all your little waves and your little comments and your likes and shares going ahead there, guys. All right. So let's call it negativity, but not so much directed towards you, but just general negativity. It could be, as I said, commentary. It could be opinions, because everybody's got one, particularly in social media land. There's lots of reasons why we can become affected by social media content and things that we are consuming in a social media platform. So the reason why it's becoming so much of an issue these days is because back in the day, we were exposed to opinions, but not so sort of intensively as we are today. There's lots of opportunity for us to be exposed to comments online, whether it be via Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, anything it might be. There's lots of opportunity across those platforms to be exposed to commentary that we never used to be exposed to. And I suppose that accessibility means that, in a way, there's lots of opportunity for people to make comment, whether on ourselves personally or whether it be on a subject or an issue. There's lots of, there's a lack of opportunity, I suppose, or ability to remove ourselves from that situation before potentially it gets out of hand. because, you know, a lot of us are just kind of scrolling away, we can fall onto things. We're less, I suppose, filtered in the way that we're consuming the world, which means that by accident, by coincidence, you know, or by a deliberate act, we come across things that we never used to be exposed to, you know, back in the day before social media was out there and, you know, giving people opportunities to say whatever it is that they want to say. And I think it's, you know, people with the, you know, the free speech of the world, I suppose there's no more now. So more now, what am I trying to say? More now than ever, it's giving people an opportunity to say what they want to say in a rather unfiltered manner, where we just didn't have those outlets and platforms before. All we used to have was really, you know, if we think about 10 years ago, you know, we had, you know, writing into a newspaper, you know, in columns, and, you know, it was very kind of controlled and regulated, and, you know, things were chosen to be put, you know, on certain sort of outlets, whether it be, you know, print media or whatever it is. We don't have those limitations anymore. So pretty much if you've got an opinion, you can post that anywhere you like, and that can be read by absolutely anybody. So that's what we're dealing with today. And, you know, as a consequence, we're not as sheltered or protected as we used to be. That level of, I suppose, buffer between the way that we consume the world and now what we've got, which is social media, has been removed. You know, so there's no protection, I suppose. There's a screen, and that's about it. So that's some of the reasons why I think that people are, you know, dealing with, I suppose, online commentary and finding it difficult to manage, because there's no filters, there's no buffers, there's a screen, and you don't get a chance to protect yourself in that moment from seeing. You can't unsee things, but then also people can engage in really unfiltered ways as well. So it creates kind of like the perfect storm for people being destabilized by what they see or what they read online. So as a consequence, there's more aggression, there's more confrontation, there's more degrading and derogatory commentary that's available to us. You know, there's less filtering, which means that higher likelihood of being offended, being hurt, being targeted, being attacked, being bullied, all of that sort of stuff. So I do want to spend a bit of time tonight talking about, well, what do we do? You know, because I'm not immune to some of these experiences. As I said last week, there are various conversations being had in a certain online page that, look, I don't, you know, I'm a pretty resilient person, but I'm going to share with you some of the strategies that I use. Also being obviously a social media profile, a business owner, you know, I'm doing a live now. I put myself out there, I suppose, in a way where I can be scrutinized. So there are certain skills that I obviously need to have in order to manage, you know, some of the difficulties associated with being a profile online, but also in my private practice, I'm constantly dealing with people that come to sessions that are consistently being destabilized by things that they see online. And in fact, you know, even of the adolescent variety, the super vulnerable, you know, I would often have kids, you know, come in being victims of online bullying and, you know, suffering a whole range of self-esteem issues, self-confidence issues, but not just kids, you know, as adults, you know, people coming into private practice really struggling, you know, to deal with either things that they're being said online or even things that are being perceived online. You know, everybody loves to, you know, present their life as being, you know, all warm and cozy and perfect online. And sometimes that can just make us feel crap as well, that people are living this lie low and champagne lifestyle and we don't seem to be, you know, living our life in such an easy manner. So there's the converse of that as well, that we can actually feel bad by seeing overly positive things online and, you know, people presenting lifestyles in certain ways that are not, they might not be a really realistic representation of what their life might really be like, but, you know, we feel a bit sad and sorry for ourselves that we're not achieving the same things. So some strategies, and this was a strategy that, obviously over the last week I had to have a good think about, is that you have full control over whether you are looking at your screen or whether you are not. Okay, so it's an opportunity that if you feel like interactions are, going the wrong way, or you're having difficulty managing kind of being exposed to a certain range of interactions, it's probably high time that you moved away from your phone. You can turn off notifications. You can choose when and where you consume content online. I think the tricky part about it is it's almost like, and I know this by experience, sometimes it can be watching a car accident. You don't want to watch, but you can't bloody look away. But it's knowing how far to push it in that respect, that sometimes you've just got to back away and go, you know what? I'm getting really riled up. I potentially want to say things that might be unhelpful or, might exacerbate or exaggerate the situation in some way. And I don't want that to happen. So knowing when to, come away from the screen or put the phone down, particularly if you're becoming, if you're experiencing, some sort of emotional reaction to something and it's up the top end of the scale, 7, 8, 9s of any sort of uncomfortable emotion, it's probably a good indicator that you need to step away. You probably don't want to be making comments at that level of emotional, I suppose, destabilization, because often probably what you're going to say when you wake up the next day and you look at that feed, you're like, oh crap, I probably wish I shouldn't have said that. So it's important that when you're noticing those early warning signs of emotional escalation at that level, it's probably time to switch it off, move away, disengage from that commentary for a period of time, turn off notifications, and just remove yourself from that situation. It's not unlike any conflict scenario. If you're in the workplace or in the family or in a relationship and you notice that you're starting to be heightened or things are really starting to ramp up, it's the same. It's the same as real life. You take some time out, you revisit the situation at another time once you've calmed it down and you've taken some time out. The rules aren't different for social media, okay? So I would encourage you to engage in those types of, I suppose, time out practices when you're noticing that your emotions are really driving up the scale. So knowing when to switch it off, knowing when to take a time out is pivotal to making sure that you don't engage in unhelpful interactions or commentary to your own detriment. So I put a little saying, but it's actually a strategy in that, a lot of the reasons why, I can't even remember what the post was exactly, but it was popped on the Infinity Wellness page, was that often what people say about you, you don't have any control over, but often what they say about you is more of a reflection of themselves than it is of you. So when they're, potentially being negative, or they're mistreating somebody, or they're mistreating you, or they're kind of, expressing a confrontational or an opinion that you find quite sort of destabilizing or upsetting, it's more of an indicator of their own insecurities, their own deficits, their own difficulties, their own shortcomings. And it's really important to recognize that. And I think that, when you've seen, I had an experience obviously last week where someone was becoming, quite aggressive and abusive, towards some of the questions that I was asking them offline. I decided to take it offline and actually have a conversation with someone about, certain allegations that they were making. When they started swearing and getting abusive and aggressive, and, maybe it's got something to do with all the corrections work that I've done over the years, I knew that, that was more symptomatic of that person's inability to regulate themselves, inability to hear other people's opinions or perspective. And you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I've got my own sort of internal, I suppose, skills that I need to learn to keep myself happy in life. I don't need to dig into that other person's, and they're not my clients. So definitely not my circus, not my monkeys. And I knew when I could see that unfold, I had enough, I suppose, capacity. And this varies, for a whole range of people. If you have difficulties with self-esteem, self-confidence, resilience, it will be harder to maintain that boundary and that ability to say, you know what? The way that you're reacting and speaking and treating people right now is a symptom of your own deficits or your own difficulties, shortcomings, insecurities. And in fact, my choice is I don't have to take that on. I can see it for what it is. I don't have to, I suppose, absorb that as being anything related to who I am as a person or how I see myself or how the world sees me. And in fact, you could just have that back. You can have that skills deficit back. So when I saw some of that stuff unfolding, I knew that, that person, I didn't have to take that on as a coping mechanism. I could step away from that. I've got enough positive self-esteem and, positive view of myself to not have to, absorb whatever that person is throwing out. And that's it. I would encourage everybody to sort of take that stance. It's important that you recognise or what your triggers are, or if you don't know what they are, think about all the times that you've been really destabilised by social media. What was going on? What was the situation? What was being said? Who were the people? It might be a case of removing yourself from certain groups that you don't necessarily agree with, or that you become destabilised by, blocking certain individuals or people that make you prone to sort of getting into a negative headspace. If people are annoying you or frustrating you online, the great thing about social media is you have a block button, or you have a turn off notifications button, or you can actually change the settings on your news feed so that you don't see or hear from certain individuals without drawing your attention to yourself that you've unfriended them or blocked them, and that's, as much as social media is a bit of an open slather and over an exposure, we do have a lot of power within our means to be able to switch that off or make decisions based on how we've been triggered in the past. So you've got the power of choice. The power of choice is whether you choose to continue to be exposed to those individuals or those outlets or those groups or those pages or whatever or those opinions. And then you've got the power of little buttons where you can pick and choose how you want to be exposed to things. So in summary, I suppose you have the power, obviously, to not absorb or to push back on certain individuals about, what you're willing to take on and what you're not. But then also you've got the power to control your own social media as well. So hit the block button, turn off the notifications. Oh, here we go. We've almost got dog wars about to kick off, guys. Turn off the notifications, unjoin the groups, switch off from certain individuals that you don't necessarily agree with. And I can tell you now that I think, overall you will build resilience to social media because, one, potentially you won't necessarily be exposed to those people that you don't really like or you don't really agree with. But two, that power of pushing or not absorbing that negativity or that commentary really is, and I've spoken a lot about the inner grit pillars, self-esteem, self-confidence and resilience. It will help you build those internal resources so you're not so pushed around by the things that you see and you consume online. So there we go, guys. Speaking from experience, Psych Chrissy in all of her glory and all of her strategies, just getting some information out there for you guys in terms of how to build resilience to negativity online, because it's a thing. It's probably going to happen. And either you take the power from within yourself or you externalize and press buttons and make sure that you remove yourself from those opinions or those situations that you disagree with or you don't like. So there we go, guys. I hope that's really been helpful, and I hope that it's empowered you to take control of your social media and not be a sponge to the negativity. All right, guys, I will see you all next week. And like any week, if you feel free to inbox me if you have got a topic that you would like me to present on, inbox is always open. Thank you, guys. I'll see you all next week.